Hello everyone, my name is Ben Golash with New England Low Vision Blindness, and today we're going to take a look at the new Clovernote. For those of you who know about the Cloverbook, this will look very familiar to you. It's the same componentry with a 12.5-inch screen, 4-hour battery life, but just in a different layout. Unlike the Cloverbook, where the screen goes over the page, this is a foldable device that is a little bit lighter than the Cloverbook, but very similar in many ways. A lot of the features that we love about the Cloverbook have been transferred into this device, like live panning, touchscreen versus tactile interfaces, as well as the distance camera. One interesting feature about this device is you're able to hold up the device to do distance viewing. So you could actually fold it down while it's still on and kind of use it like an iPad camera and look around your environment without utilizing the external camera that is removable. That segues us into the removable camera that clips into the device on the side and uses HDMI to plug into the device. Before powering on the device and showing you all the features, I'm gonna add the external camera here. It's added onto the right side and it clips in to this very obvious port. Once it's clipped in, it's very secure. It's not gonna come unplugged at all. And then we're able to rotate the camera and do all the manipulation that we need to view our environment. Powering on the device is very simple. It's just a button here on the top left. I'm gonna press and hold it for a couple seconds and it will power on with our Sight Care in partnership with Irie AT label right there. And then it just takes a second and then we're on. And we're able to do some reading and some writing and distance viewing. Unlike our traditional Cloverbook, we actually have to lift the device and place it onto a piece of paper if we want to view it with the main camera. Having some text under the device, we could see the clarity of the camera in the image. We could use either the tactile dial for magnification, or we can use our fingers with the pinch gesture to zoom in and zoom out on the text. We could also use the panning feature, which is super helpful for small adjustments that are needed, as well as just reading each line if we're at a high magnification. So I'm gonna zoom in, and I could use either the joystick here, the orange joystick in the middle, to pan up and down and side to side, or I could use my finger just like your regular touchscreen device and move around the image with a single finger. Just like all electric magnifiers, we're able to change the contrast settings with this dial here. There's a bunch of different options that we can choose from. Not only is there a dial, but a button in the middle. So this button is mainly for switching your contrast setting quickly back to color in case you come across an image that you need to see in color. So say if we're in the yellow and on blue setting here, we come across a picture, we could just quickly press that middle button and it switches back to color. Now it's remembered what contrast setting that we were in before, so when we go back to reading, we could just press that button and it goes right back to our contrast setting. We can activate and deactivate contrast settings. To do that quickly, we can press and hold the middle button of that contrast dial.
Customize color combination.
From here, we see a bunch of tiles with different color contrast settings. Some of them have already been defaulted to be deactivated. Just tapping on those will activate or deactivate them and will be added to the contrast setting menu. We now are able to scroll through and either the ones that we activated are there or deactivated, they aren't there. So say if someone just wants to have the white on black contrast setting, we could deactivate all the other contrast settings so we don't have to deal with them if they're getting in the way. To exit, we just hit this square button right up here on the top left and it will prompt us that we finished. Next up, I'm gonna show you the lighting settings, which are accessed through the home button here. That's gonna be the button to the far left. I'm gonna press it once and it comes up with our lighting menu. Now, if you're familiar with the Cloverbook, you're gonna see that there's an extra menu setting in here. If I'm in this menu and I press that self-viewing button, it will switch to the top camera on the actual device. To go back to the main camera, I'm gonna press that same home button and then the text button. And then it will prompt us that it's near view, and we're back to regular text viewing. The lighting settings on this device are from right to left. We have the brightness. We have the left and right light setting here, so we can turn on and off each light.
All lights off.
Or we could turn all lights on or off.
All lights on.
So this is primarily used if you have light sensitivity. You're able to turn down the brightness of the screen as well as turn off the lights on the back in case those are bothering you. Okay, so the last button here on the main forward-facing panel is going to be the enter button, and that's on the far right. And this is really designed if you don't want to use the touch screen. You can access all the menus and all the settings with the joystick and hitting that enter button. So it's kind of a throw-in button. Most people like the touch screen, but if you want to turn off the touch screen, you can do that and just use the joystick in that enter button. So moving on onto the left edge of the device, there's some more settings and ports that we need to talk about. Starting off on the base, on the left edge, there's going to be a line mask button. Pressing that once,
Line mask on.
will turn on a line mask. This is primarily designed to help you track where you are on the page and help you with reading line for line. Now we can manipulate this line a little bit by holding that button and then using the joystick to either move it up and down, or if we move the joystick side to side, we can make it thick or thin. So this is kind of nice if you want to manipulate that line. You can bring it all the way down to the end of the screen if that's what you're most comfortable with. Now there's a couple more settings with this line mask that we can take a look at. We can make it go vertical, and we could also have a mask. So this will limit the amount of information that's on the screen. It's also great for light sensitivity, and we have the same manipulation of this as we do of the line. So we can make it move up or down, or we can make it super wide or super thin. Now moving up the device, we have the camera switcher button, and this will switch it to the external camera that we added earlier on. So pressing that,
External camera. Distance view.
then we're able to see the distance view. From there, we can move and manipulate the camera here on the top. And then also what we're gonna get into a little bit is that you're able to do writing with this camera. To switch it back, we hit that camera button one more time,
Rear camera.
and then it goes back to our rear camera, and then we're able to do reading in the traditional way that this device is designed for. Now moving up a little bit, we already talked about the power button, so that's all the way at the top. So directly below the power button is gonna be a very tactile input for our power. And this power cord is gonna be a cylindrical power cord, so it doesn't matter which way you plug it in, it's just gonna power that device, and it's very easy to find and plug in. Moving down, we have an HDMI port. This is designed to project this image into an HDMI monitor. So if you wanted to make this a 40-inch image instead of this 12.5 inch, we can do that just with a regular HDMI monitor, and we can use it just a regular HDMI cord, plug it into that monitor, and this image is projected onto that monitor there. And then moving down, the last little thing on this left side is going to be a headphone jack. So this will kind of keep our audio private to ourselves, and all of the audio promptings and the menus and things like that will just be shot right into our headphones. Now moving on to the right side of this device, in the same place where the line mask is, but just on the other side, we have a freeze and a save button. So if I press it once, it will freeze the image. This is great if we have maybe a prescription bottle or something that we don't want to hold steady for very long. We could quickly freeze that image, and then we could actually pinch, zoom, and move around that frozen image. To unfreeze it and go back to live view mode, we could just press that once again.
Live image.
And it says that it's live image. So now we're able to move our document around and continue reading. The other function of this button is the saving function. So just pressing it once will freeze it, but if we press and hold it,
Image saved.
it will say that the image is saved and it's also frozen now. So now we're able to go into the menu and recall all of the images that we've saved onto this device. So it has an internal memory. This is great if we use maybe a phone number frequently or a recipe, or if we have a schedule that we'd like to save onto this device. We can just save it there so you don't have to go and find it and put it under the device. It's all saved there. So that's a really handy feature to have for the Clovernote. To unfreeze it again,
Live image.
just press it once. And moving on up into the right, we have the autofocus lock. So pressing that once,
Autofocus locked.
it will prompt us that the autofocus is locked. This is primarily used if the autofocus is jumping around a lot. It is a very good autofocus, but sometimes it could be a little bit jumpy. So we just want to lock that there. Or it could be used when we're doing writing. So if we're doing writing, it will lock the autofocus onto the paper so it won't try to focus on our hands and be jumpy all over the place. So that's a really great feature for writing, or if the autofocus is acting up a little bit. To deactivate the autofocus lock, we press that same button
Autofocus unlocked.
and it will prompt us that it's unlocked. Moving up, we have the port for the external camera. It's a really tactile port. It's very easy to find with our fingers, and plugging in the camera is super simple. It just takes a little bit of effort to plug it in, and it will snap into place very easily. Moving up beyond the external camera, we have the volume buttons. So the top one is going to be the plus and the bottom one will be the minus. We could actually mute the device completely or turn up the volume if we'd like. One of the main requests that come to me when I'm working with clients is that people want to see the full page in the screen. Not many devices can do it. I could only think of maybe one before the Clovernote. So if you have the external camera, we could actually move the paper over to the side and then manipulate this camera so it twists here at the base and then also folds down. So once it's in this configuration, it will prompt you that it's in full page mode. So now we can see that the full page is in the screen. So we're able to navigate this image with a lot of ease with the touchscreen as well as the joystick. I think this is going to be a really great feature for people at home as well as students who want to navigate a document and don't want to fiddle around with it too much underneath the device. It's a very intuitive way of navigating just by using the touchscreen, just like your iPad or your iPhone. We could just pinch, move it around, or we could use the tactile interface to navigate this document. Another main feature of the external camera is distance viewing as well as self viewing. Now for self viewing, I mentioned that we have the built-in camera that's facing us, but the external camera allows us a little bit more flexibility and quality with that self viewing camera. So if you're doing grooming, makeup, shaving, anything like that, this external camera is going to be really helpful for those tasks. As for the distance viewing, all we have to do to switch it to distance viewing from this configuration is to flip up the camera and then twist it to wherever we'd like it to be. So if you've noticed, the band here on the distance camera is a little bit different than the Cloverbook camera. It's a little bit different tactile feel as well as a different color. But if you navigate around the distance camera, it's very easy to feel. It's a ridged band here. What's nice is that the base of this camera also twists. So we can get a really good distance around and see what is around us. Now the touchscreen and all the features like the contrast settings and the panning, these are all still activated. So we could still zoom in, move around with our fingers, pinch, and use the contrast settings that we would like. I also wanted to mention that the freezing, saving, and recalling, as well as autofocus lock and the line mask, everything works with the distance camera. Just kind of think of the distance camera as the regular camera, but just able to see out at a distance, and all the same features are applicable here. So that does it for the features for the Clovernote. I think that students are gonna love it. I think that people at home are gonna love it. Seniors are gonna love it. I really think that this is gonna be a hit of a device. The quality of the image is amazing. All of the tactile functions are great, as well as the touchscreen. Overall, I'm really impressed with this device. Please subscribe to our channel. We come out with videos as much as we possibly can. There's a lot of technology that's always coming out here on the market, just like the Clovernote. Thank you for watching.